Hello, hello, and welcome to the WonderMama Coffee Chat. Today, this coffee chat is for parents who choose to lead. It's honest dialogue and conversations to help us find steady leadership in our home and in our lives. And today we have a guest that I personally love. Today we have Dr. Stephanie Johnson. And yes, I am reading because I want to make sure that I say all the things. Stephanie is a holistic life and wellness coach, an NLP practitioner, and author who helps high achievers move from reactive survival mode to regulated leadership. Stephanie also blends neuroscience, wellness strategies, and practical systems to support her clients who are high functioning on the outside and struggling on the inside. I do have to say two things. One, Stephanie will be speaking this week, and she will be speaking her keynote topic, Command the Room with Your Story, as part of the Connected Leaders Academy Conference #9, which will also be an anthology book, I believe, right? Is that
Mm-hmm.
right? Oh, yes.
Yeah, I think that it's
And,
part of the
oh,
anthology for Connected Leaders Academy.
amazing.
Um,
I gotta get me in one of those soon.
mhm.
But I also want to mention that Stephanie is hosting the Boldly Becoming Women's Empowerment Conference and Brunch on March 13th and 14th in Chicago. And it's one of those be there or be square kind of situations. So um, after this, I'll be posting the link. If you're interested in knowing more about that, you will check out Stephanie and me, and I'll remind you at the end. But anyway, Stephanie, thank you so much for being here.
Well,
I'm so
thank you
happy
for
to have you.
having me. Thank you for
Yes.
having me. It's a
Before we,
pleasure.
before I just let you launch into, because you're with your brilliance, I just really want to know a little bit about you. Like, what made you start even on this path?
Oh, wow. So, uh, because I literally had to coach myself. So this all really started with my doctor chewing me up because um she already gave me the warning about being pre-diabetic and that I needed to lose some weight. And then over a course of events, because life's right,
Mm.
I started seeing myself and I didn't recognize who I was in the mirror. I was losing myself in people and my work and all that. And so one day, Dan, which I call my scale, Dan called me over and said, Here, stand on me. Like if, he needed his back cracked or something, right? And, a little bit prior to that, I had started, like I said, I wasn't recognizing me in the mirror. I didn't know who that woman was. Well, I stood on Dan's back. And I remember also looking to the right in the mirror as I was standing on Dan's back. And I looked down, and you know what Dan told me? He said, the numbers started showing up. He was like, You weigh 335 pounds. And I'm like, What? How did this happen?
Mm.
And so I look at the mirror, I look at Dan and the woman in the mirror that I don't know who she was. And 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 Dan both said to me, "Yeah, that's you." So I had to, at that particular moment, I was like, okay. So I went on a journey, a weight loss journey, and I lost 110 pounds. And so throughout my transformation, a lot of people were like, how'd you do this? and I was giving some of my tips and so forth, and then a lot of people are like, you need to travel. You can coach other people. And so I'm the type of person, if I'm going to do something, if I'm going to be something, I have to do it right. And so I started doing certifications. I started learning, and then also got received certifications because I want to know what was up here that led me to be 335 pounds and me not recognizing myself. And it's simple, simple life changes, right? And it's also um, something that maybe we might dive into a little bit later, or else you just have to come and check me out somewhere else. But my power of three, and that's how I want to being able to stick with it and becoming accountable for me and my health.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. So the power of three, that's a secret. I know we all want to know. And one of the things you just said was like they're simple life changes, but for many people who get into that situation, who get
Yeah.
to that point, it's not simple. And
Yeah.
it didn't feel simple for you not to recognize that woman.
Right.
Now you know in hindsight.
Mm-hmm.
So you had that epiphany moment, and then you got really intentional, not only to heal yourself, but to get the knowledge so that you could truly help other people. And that's really
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So one of the other things that happens, right, is we become really dysregulated when we don't understand who we are. We feel like we are miss a step and we're so far behind. And
Mm-hmm.
so I'm really interested to know more about how does the power of three help people find the steadiness that they can have, if that's how it works, so that they can find that journey that you are. Because sometimes it's not only weight; there's lots of things that make us not recognize ourselves in the mirror,
Right. Right.
and not all
Yeah.
of us have Dan.
Right. That Dan. Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, we don't. And then but we all do once we whatever the weight is, because for me it was pounds, right? It was the weight of trying to be perfect, right? It was the weight of just pouring into ironically, pouring into everyone else and neglecting me. And so it's whatever that weight is. So the power of three, I'm giving you guys a secret, is one, taking accountability. It's taking the accountability that you have to make changes. Then that once you get to that point, it's not easy, right? Because you're putting the mirror in front of yourself, and you're like, wow, like, okay, I have to, this is what I've been doing. Like, you just have to become accountable. The accountability is going to bring on the commitment, it's going to bring on everything else, and it's going to bring on the love of self. So, and as women, that's one of the hardest things that we are, is the love of ourselves. We feel like we have to show up and um, be perfect for everybody else, but we're sitting here and we're screaming on the inside, and we got to take accountability back, holding ourselves accountable. So
Mm.
yeah.
So for parents, thank you for that. So that's number one, right?
That's number one.
So for a lot of us, especially women, especially mothers, we can know these things and at the same time really struggle with finding the balance of not feeling selfish and kind of dealing with that inner voice that fights with us to say, yes, this is important. This is important enough for you to make this a priority. And so how does a mother or a parent who is really struggling with taking accountability for themselves when they're accountable for so many other things, how is a way that this person can get aligned with what's happening, actually happening to them, and find that peace?
Yeah, I'd say you you know, part of taking accountability is becoming honest and hearing the things that we don't necessarily want to hear. But who we need to hear that truth from is ourselves first, right? And then we got to get uncomfortable. Unfortunately, in my particular situation, I had to get uncomfortable with, okay, yeah, this is the reason why I keep doing these things. And so hearing that honest voice, and even that, that failures talk that comes through, right?
Oh, she's
Yeah.
powerful.
So, but sometimes that we have to, we we don't want to listen to keep it stuck and to believe that's what we are, but we do need to hear its truth to us, right? So again, I'm gonna say that one more time. We don't want it to in here, but we need to be willing to hear the truth that it's speaking. Kind of like that thing of, how can you expect something to change when you keep doing the same thing over and over and over again, hoping for a different outcome? Well, after the fifth time, we should have, okay, I need to make a dire change here. So, yeah, it's being able to hear the truth behind it, but not
Yeah.
allowing it to weigh us down to the point where we think we failed.
I love that you said we need to hear the truth, because and becoming really honest, it's there's a lot of similarity to my own compass program, where the first thing we need to do is honestly understand where we are, and I call that landing where you are,
Hmm. Hmm.
because that's when we can kind of sit with it and hear our truth. And I love that, because sometimes we're willing to glaze over it and kind of move beyond that, and come back to it later, which is exactly why I created the WonderMama Coffee Chat, is
Hmm.
because you and I can talk about exactly the same thing, but the person who needs to hear the truth may hear it clearer from your beautiful voice than they can from mine. And
Hmm.
so I am so grateful that you're here.
Thank
So
you.
can I ask one more question?
Yeah.
I have more than one more, but I have one more question I know I want to ask. And so the parent, the because I think we only have, or was that number two of the power of three? Take
Um,
accountability, become honest. Oh, it's okay. You don't have to tell us. It's fine. It's
Not
fine.
quite,
Okay.
but it's getting there.
It's getting there. So for the parent who's listening today, often she feels really overstimulated by all the stuff that's going on
Yeah,
in her life. And it's not just parenting, right? It's all of life. It's
right.
what Dan says, and looking in the mirror, or just looking in the mirror and not recognizing no matter your weight or your health, whatever's happening, there are many times we don't recognize ourselves. So she's overstimulated, she's reactive, she's exhausted. What is one small shift that she can do to actually hear that? What does she need to do to hear the truth?
Learning how to use her voice and just being totally transparent.
Mm.
And what I mean by that, and that is, That is part two. That is number two, is just becoming truly transparent. Because in your transparency, you're saying, hey, I'm overwhelmed. I got to pick up little Johnny at 2. I got to get Sarah from ballet at 2:05, and the hubby is off in Costa Rica, supposedly on business, but is golfing. I have this business that I'm trying to run, but I have to still, take the interruptions. It's becoming transparent and using your voice of saying, hey, this is everything that I'm dealing with. I feel alone. The same time that I'm excusing you or giving you the room to do your things, I don't feel that I have that same, because that I don't have the same type of flexibility, because then I feel guilty when I'm not able to pick up little Johnny and take him to baseball practice, even though I need to be across the city to pick up my little princess from ballet. And so it's being transparent. And part of that transparency is saying and knowing when you have to say, I need help. We don't ask for help, right? Because we're the WonderMama, right? We can do it all. Even when we have a business and we're trying to build it and we're trying to, or even our 9 to 5 and being on a C-suite level or executive level or in management and everything, we're trying to keep it together for all the eyes that are on us, right? But at some point, we have to become transparent. We have to use our voice. We have to take accountability that we are not Wonder Woman. Then we have to become transparent enough to use our voice to say, help. I need the help. And I'm not going to be perfect every day.
Ask for help. That's a big deal for a lot of people.
Ooh,
Ooh.
we've had talks, for me, that has been a lesson, even after all this, right? I still struggle with that.
Stephanie, I also, I'm really glad that you said that, because as entrepreneurs and mothers, we are Wonder Women. Hello.
Yeah, we are.
But
I have an S. That S is just not for Stephanie. It's Superwoman.
yes, for sure. For sure. And I know that. And I'd really love for you to just share a little bit more about your story. But I I do want to kind of pause here, because that's what Reese says. We do need to pause, but also pause in a little bit and just, this is a lifetime journey. What we're working on and what
Mhm.
we're doing here, this work that we help guide people through, it works really well because we are literally on the path.
Right,
Always. You're
right.
always on this path. It's not like all of a sudden you learn it and you're finished. I'm done. I good. I
Mm-mm.
know how to do it. I know how to be vulnerable and ask for help and all of those things. No, that's not how it works. We are so multi-phased. And so it's really beautiful to have communities like the ones we're building
Mm-hmm.
and the work that we do, bringing people, like-minded people together who can support each other through this life journey. And so I'm so glad that you're on this journey with me.
Likewise,
I really
I'm happy
appreciate
that
you.
you're here with me too. Yeah.
Um, I don't know if you'd like to share just a little bit more about what happened with you just before we met, because you are rebuilding your life. And I think that makes you even more of a superwoman than even we're discussing. Would you be open to sharing what happened?
Yeah,
Watch her say
absolutely.
no.
No, I don't want
I,
to. But
okay.
yeah, I definitely will because I think it's something, one, the transparency behind it is something that it can help save someone else. It can help us to become better parents, no matter how old your kids are, um, but also to become better to ourselves. So essentially, what happened? So everyone's like, "What happened? What did you got there?" Right.
They want to know.
So
Yeah.
for about a good, almost quite a year, um, I was working a high power position, um, and doing a lot of traveling. Plus, I was doing a lot of speaking, um, building my business, and but I wasn't taking care of myself. Even after all the things that I'm coaching people and everything, taking care of myself. And one of the things that I was not doing, I was not getting proper rest. I was spending long hours at the computer. So I was being sedentary. And even though out of that 110-pound loss, I've only gained about 30, between 30 35 of it back. But still, it's my body was taking a hit. My mind was taking a hit. So in March, I was laid off, and I felt kind of, prior to being laid off, I knew I was exhausted. And that's how it kind of started. And I had brain fog, and I just thought, oh, it's menopause, it's this, that, it's me getting older, whatever. But those little things of not being fast, it was taking me forever to like do things. I didn't find out what that was until September 5th. I was on the phone with a girlfriend. We were planning to meet in New York because we were supposed to be speaking for almost about a week of speaking engagements. And I couldn't get my words out. And she was like, "Stephanie, are you okay?" And I was like, "I don't know." And as I'm saying, "I don't know," my words are slurring and I can't get it out. I felt my tongue twisting. I had a stroke. And luckily, I was on the phone with her.
Mm.
Um, and I call that stroke a stroke of grace and strength, right? Because I'm not gonna, I can't define it as something negative because it was something that actually woke me up. Um, so I had a blood clot that traveled to my brain. I had a stroke, found out that I actually had another stroke, one right before. And that's why I was feeling funny and the brain fog and everything, back in March before I was laid off. So I say all that because what I learned the most is I have to take care of me. That rest is so important, and that I have to prioritize things, and I can't do everything in a day. I can't just stop, and it is not okay to expect me to drop everything and work on something when I already have 10 other things I need to do. And I always like to say, and I know that you probably have heard me say this too, okay, I'll have it done for you in the morning. And then the
Yeah.
morning comes and I'm like, can you give me a couple of days? So that's where I'm working on, but that my stroke has told me that everything doesn't need to happen right now. You'll be successful as long as you do it and you plan it out well. But the number one plan that you have is you have to get the adequate rest. You need to have some alone time. So you need to turn to the husband and say, hey, I need you to take the kids if you got younger kids. If you have older kids that are grown adults, you need to say, hey, um, okay, I need you to fix that on your own. I've given you the skills. But here I'm gonna give you a suggestion and then tell me how that works out because they'll never learn until you do that, right? But um, because you need time for you and that you need your alone time, you need time to totally decompress. And because yeah, the stroke, I found myself in the hospital like, what just happened? Like, I feel fine, I think I do, but yet I can't speak. My smile is totally crooked. I'm just now almost, it's still, you can see it just a little bit here, but I mean, after these months, like I'm just starting to get my smile back and I'm beginning to be able to speak again. Like I haven't done the speaking engagement in so long because I was afraid that the stroke would show up. And that's okay.
Mm.
And it's fine that because I needed the rest. I didn't need to be on the stage. I didn't need to I needed to focus on me. I needed to focus on me because I needed the
Stephanie, that
rest.
that is so important. And thank you for sharing that. And I'm hoping that anyone who's watching kind of sees your story a little bit in themselves because you don't have to actually be traveling a lot. You don't have to be doing all of these things to wear yourself out, to not be able to pay attention to what's actually happening
Right.
in your body. I also, as an entrepreneur, I am an empty nester. And I will, we want to do all the things. We want
Mm-hmm.
to help all the people. And if we don't have our friends and uh, that sort of ability to have that inner dialogue, we're like, hey, you know what? Let's put that down. Everything actually doesn't have to be done. Everything doesn't have to be perfect.
Right.
And to be able to reevaluate. So I think I mean, your story is is terrifying, truly,
Mm-hmm.
because we've all been so close to driving ourselves into the ground. And anyone who hasn't had a stroke, we're actually kind of lucky. Those of us that sit behind a computer all day in our homes, we can do it. We can be computer warriors. There are days when I am here from 7 to, I don't even know, I'm not even going to say, with,
Right.
and we just don't move enough, and we cannot do that to ourselves. So that brings me to one of the things that we decided to do together. And I meant to have a prototype here to show everyone, but I'm just going to say it. So one of the things that Stephanie and I have decided to do together, and you're hearing it here, is because she focuses so much on how we need to be empowered and boldly becoming. That women's empowerment conference is going to be so incredible. We co-branded the Calm Before the Monday planner and journal because it is about planning our time and watching and tracking where we're putting our energy and where we're
Right.
focusing and paying attention to that. So In the next week, it will be available on Stephanie's website, the Boldly Becoming Calm Before the Monday Planner and Journal.
Yeah.
And the foreword is written by Dr. Stephanie Johnson. And I am so happy to be working on something so important because it is about our health. Calm Before the Monday is about dropping that mental load, and boldly becoming calm before the Monday. It just works, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really did. And I'm super honored that something that you have already had in place and that you even welcomed me into um partnering with you on this, because that means a lot to me, because it's a tool that we can have, right? And literally, because your journal, your planner, your whatever it needs to become to be, just having that tool and just be able to plan out, so that you can't in a calm place, because that when you're calm and you're planning out the week and you're leaving room for those unknowns to come and for those life shifts, when you're doing it in a calm state, your body becomes calm for the week. You start to use your voice to say, no, I cannot do that on the 10th, but I could probably accommodate you on the 30th. And sometimes that is the hardest thing to say, right? And just in prioritizing the things based off of timing. So I appreciate you, and I'm so happy to partner with you on this. I mean, because it really truly is your baby. And I'm just
Yes.
happy that you've allowed me to add my little touch to it as well. And I appreciate you on that. So yes,
Oh,
it'll be available on the Boldly Becoming well, the website is boldlybecoming.org. It's the conference, because this will be a yearly conference. And yeah, it'd be a great place for you to come and order it. We'll get it shipped to your house and everything. And yeah, so you get a little bit of Leonne and you get a little bit of me. And but the reality is you get a lot of you to
yes.
have the calm before the Monday.
Yes, let's drop that mental load and author our lives a little bit. So, Stephanie, I think that we have poured enough of our genius out here in social media land. And so, as always, I want to thank everybody who has been watching today and let you know that this conversation is going to continue to with the Wonder Mama community members, and so we're going to go dark and open it up for a Q&A. And so if you missed all of this, you can go back and watch it. It'll also be available on the Wonder Mama Coffee Chat tomorrow podcast, which is available on Apple Music, Spotify, and Podbean. And if this was enough for you and you just really enjoyed, having your maybe lunch with us, come back next week and I will have the incredible Natalie Kim with me. She is a financial professional and a caregiver, and I can't wait for you to meet her. So goodbye for now, social media, and I'll see you next week.
Bye bye, all.